Yo, what's up guys? We are back with another video. So we've had a couple of tournaments since the banlist. We've had a couple of events. We have had a couple of sets. It's time for another tier list maker since you guys all seem to very much love them. So we have a couple of rows here. We have meta changer, we have tier 1, tier 2, rogue, and oh no baby, what are you doing? Huge shoutouts to the Cali effect for providing this tier list maker. We got a couple of decks here, a couple of rogue decks as well, and we're gonna line them up all nice and accordingly. Now to remind yourself how this works, meta changer is just the best deck. Tier 1 is I don't know, the best decks of the format, just like normal stuff. So meta changer is kind of tier 0. Tier 2 is what can win tournaments, but will not be like there consistently or like in numbers. Rogue is something you should not play, but can still reach top cut. And oh no, baby, what are you doing? Is just don't play it. Just don't play it. So we're gonna start off with dinos. Dinos dropped off a lot. This is definitely tier 2 deck now. This cannot really consistently compete with all the other decks of the format. But yeah, this one definitely dropped off quite a bit from tier 1. Maybe even it's rogue at this point. BA trap decks are kind of not really good this format, and I don't think that PK or BA is like very solid at this format. They are just very slow in their niches. PK has a good matchup versus like Virtual World and stuff, but has a terrible matchup versus all the hand traps that are being played right now. So yeah, trap decks don't really do it this format, and I don't think that PK can make the cut either. If Emancipator, definitely a rogue deck. I'm not sure, I don't think anyone has explored this yet. Altergeist, definitely a solid rogue deck. This format, it has been surprisingly well like played. People played it at the remote invitational as well, and it was like, I guess, okay. But it has been topping, so definitely a rogue deck. Amazement, something that was just a huge disappointment out of Lightning Overdrive. I don't think it has reached its full potential yet. I still think that this deck can get places and that it can work, and some people can get it to work as a cool engine, maybe a main deck, but not right now. The traps are not really the best right now, and yeah, I think it has potential for the future, but not. Cyber Dragon has been becoming a little bit more popular now with easy OTKs, nice combo decks, nice cards, very valuable, very nice. Definitely one of the best rogue decks of the format. I would also put Geists up before BA right now. Then we have the first high tier 2 deck. We have Antagonisters. I don't think this deck can compete with the meta. I think it's very consistent, but it still has some trouble, and definitely if the opponent knows what they're playing against, you're gonna have a hard time because they can interrupt in all the right places. And yeah, definitely very solid. I don't think it's tier 1. Then we have a Zombie Balrog. This was pretty solid back when we had Dragon Link, because Zombie World was an FTK versus Dragon Link, but now it's only good versus Tri Brigade, and they main out to Zombie World. So it's a cool deck. It's a nice stun deck. I think it's very well paired with Eldritch, and if you do that, you have a pretty nice deck, but it's still gonna be rogue. Eldritch dropped off drastically. It's still doing very well in, for example, the hands of Caesar, who also topped another event with it. I'm not really sure whether to put this in front of Cyber Dragon or maybe even at tier 2. But for now, it's going to be at rogue. Heroes are just missing stuff, man. They're just missing negates and like, sheer consistency and power. It's just not that good. Shadows think still have a place this format. They have a couple of nice matchups. Their decks just aren't really fit for the maximum hand trap ratios. And yeah, opening 4 hand traps in Shadow Fusion must be nice, but despite that, I think it's not going to be any higher than tier 2. I have Life Twins getting support in the next set, and they have another boss monster coming out. That will definitely push it up to tier 2, probably. But for now, it's just not really solid. If Maju, it's really a bad format to start OTKing, so we're gonna put it over there. There's so many interactions right now. Attack with Manchu, end of main phase, failure, or impairment. It's just not great right now. Unchained, is that still a deck? Are people still playing that? I don't even think Distant Coder's playing that right now, so Invernoble. Invernoble's sick right now. Topped one, it almost topped the YCS. It topped the Remedy Invitational. This deck is solid. It's been proving its work. There are just not a lot of people playing it right now. I definitely think that this is right now maybe even better a combo deck than Dinos are. I think it's very solid. I think it's very good. It's kind of inconsistent and just through sheer representation, it's just not there yet. But it's a nice deck. It's a nice deck. People are sleeping on this. Infernoid can play hand traps, can play powerful cards, but I don't think it can compete with the meta just yet. It's still decent. It's a decent rogue deck. Earth Machine, I guess it's rogue. I still, to this day, don't know what this deck does. So I'm gonna put it all the way at the end, but apparently it is playable. Dolce, another popular deck, has been doing quite well. I'm gonna put this ahead of the Infernoids. This deck is still scarily consistent, can OTK with ease and can out the most impressive boards, and other turns it dies to a single Vader. So I'm gonna put it as rogue. Mekk-Knights can play all those hand traps, can be a going second deck, but it does lose to a couple of the good like meta decks right now. Very difficult to pinpoint, but I would say that this is definitely rogue and definitely better than anything that comes behind it. Drytrons tier 1. Have Plunder Patrol. I'm gonna put it over here. I think that this deck in the hands of the right pilot can do that. Can make the top cut, can win the event. No, not win the event. But as long as Virtual World is in the format, this deck is gonna be all behind in rogue. Brackets, I hate to admit it, I don't like this deck at all. I don't like this deck, I don't think it's good. But it is getting the results. It's getting the wins. And right now, I might even say that this is a better deck than Drytron. Is it the best deck of the format? Not really, but I think that dragons are still very solid. Just people are not playing it. I feel like chamber control with the seals is still more than any deck can really consistently deal with. So I'm gonna put it up all the way there. It's just not as consistent yet as it is to getting like the like representation. But I mostly think that the people that want to play this just cannot afford, just don't want to justify buying Chamber at such a high price for a deck that's not really the best. Then I do have to say that Salad is really solid this format. Again, a deck that is very like in the hands of the pilots. And talk about being in the hands of the pilot with Sky Strikers. If your name isn't Joshua Oosters, you should probably not be playing this deck. But in the correct hands, this deck's very solid still. You do have to know exactly what you're doing. There are no room for misplays, no room for unoptimization. You have to know what you're doing. Then it's tier 1. If you're not an excellent player that 1000% of the time plays this deck out correct, it's dropping to tier 2, if not even rogue. Soft Terror. Definitely solid. Still think it's solid. Still has all the tools. Still has the Dragoon. Didn't lose anything. Still is like unfair. Can still run the unfair cards. Still think it's bad. It's really solid. But it is a rogue deck. Trap Trick. We're gonna put it behind Altergeist because it's a trap deck. This deck is surprisingly cool. It got a lot of cool cards from Wilding Overdrive. So definitely a cool deck. Tri Brigade. I'm gonna use this as all the mixes, like the Zodiac and the cat versions and the pure versions, and it's definitely the best deck. Just out of sheer consistency, what this deck can do with only one card is just wild. It can run all the good cards. It doesn't necessarily die to the most like impressive stuff. And yeah, overall this is just a solid deck. Most representations cannot like beat around the bush, but it is also out of all the decks right here the most easy to play, which is definitely why it has such a high representation. Then we have Virtual World, which I'm gonna put behind Cardmarket. If you have a really good player that pilots this deck, they can come really far, but the only bad thing is that 1 out of 6 or 5 hands is a brick, and there's nothing you can do about that. You can just open like trap lily la la la. That's just very unfortunate. This deck is solid. This deck can play through a lot. It has like diverse deep combos that can play through hand traps. It is safe, it is consistent, it has follow-up play. Just bricks. And due to that, it just cannot beat Virtual World in the long run. which is unfortunately because I do think that this is the best deck in the game right now. Because especially it doesn't die to the imperp and the faders, but you just brick those games, which is just not really the best. So yeah, that's it. What I think. I don't think there's any tier 0 decks right now. I think that these are pretty much the defined decks. I think that the Gagari is definitely dropping to tier 2 already. And I also think that the Shadow is dropping to Rogue. And I still don't know what Earth Machine does. So yeah, if you agree with me, let me know in the comment section down below. Did I mess up? Did I miss your deck? Yeah, let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.